Hey, what an honor it is to be here. I am so grateful. I want to thank Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. I didn't just show up here now. I've been here year after year because I believe so deeply in the mission of what you all represent. So give it up for Charlie Kirk, please. Obviously, this job, my day job, is the greatest professional honor I've had in my life. The opportunity to lead and serve our warriors. It's incredible. But let me start by saying, and a little bit of a message to all of you, because I'm looking out at the future of America. I think I might be looking out at some future warriors out here. And we'll get to that in a moment. I hope some of you do choose that path to raise your right hand to defend the Constitution and defend the nation, because we're going to need it. But at the same time, as I focus on, getting our military back on track and doing that job and serving the greatest commander-in-chief our country has had, we also have to remind ourselves priorities, that ultimately we serve God first. And that's the first question I ask myself every day. Am I honoring God with my actions? Am I putting Him first? And I think no matter how big your job is or how big your challenges are you seeking Him in the Word and in prayer? That's how the day needs to start, because everything else goes sideways when it doesn't. And then number two is serving your family, remembering what it's all about. My wife and daughter are here somewhere in the fog, but our 6 other kids, one of which is 15, another of which are 14, they could and should be in this audience, and they will be soon. How am I serving them? How am I directing them and giving them the perspective that all of you have about their Lord and Savior and about this country and about the threats we face and their duty to do something about it? That's my job as a father and as a husband. So yes, we're fighting for our country. But God and family come first, and I hope you remember that in all of your great pursuits, in everything that you focus on in your own life. I have had the incredible opportunity, and I wish everyone here get a chance to be in the Oval Office, and you see him because he's the most transparent president we've ever had. But to watch President Trump, whether it's the Oval Office or the Situation Room or in foreign countries, he does so much, but ultimately his willingness to put America first, apply common sense, and execute peace through strength is the core of what I get a chance to see every day. And by the way, you don't get peace without the strength part. And that's my department, the strength department. And so I actually think we lead at the Defense Department, or maybe soon to be the Department of War, for all the right reasons. We lead the biggest peace department in the world. Our job is to be strong and ready and lethal so that you never have to use us. And if you use us, our capabilities are so overwhelming, our threat so looming, that we're able to conclude that mission swiftly and violently to the interests of the United States, or not have to use us at all. So the peace is preserved and deterrence sticks. And I'll never forget President Trump, when he chose me for this job, the first thing he said to me, he said, Pete, you're going to have to be tough. I can't even say the word, because it's a young crowd, 15, 16, tough as you know what. Tough as you know what. And I said, yes, sir. Boy, was he right. But the next thing he said to me was, Pete, I need you to restore the warrior ethos. I need you to get the military back to basics. We were distracted. Absolutely. Our military, under previous administrations, especially Obama, but then Joe Biden more recently, were distracted by experiments, effectively, in ideology and social justice and social engineering in climate change, and take DEI, CRT, genderism, you name it, influences were pushed into our formations in ways that made doing our job that much more complicated and difficult. So from day one, we have declared that DEI is dead at DOD. We're going back to gender-neutral, colorblind, merit-based performance standards. We do readiness, we do accountability, we do warfighting, we do lethality. We don't do social experiments. We don't do politics. I don't care in my formations. I mean, I have my political views and you have yours. But I don't care in my formation if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Do you love the country? Have you sworn oath to defend the Constitution? And how good are you at your job? And my job is for you to be prepared in that mission. That's it. It's a back to basics moment, and we've seen the response from young Americans like this crowd has been historic. Recruiting months and months ahead of where it's been under the previous administration. By the way, under the previous administration, they lowered the recruiting goals so they could look like they were filling the ranks, but they actually couldn't even meet the lowered recruiting goals. And this administration, with higher recruiting goals, we're beating them 4 to 5 months ahead of time because the American people want to serve. They want to serve under a commander-in-chief that has their back. And that's why between the Army and the Marine Corps, the Navy, Space Force, Air Force, all are at historic levels of recruiting. I used to call it the Trump bump. That doesn't work anymore. It's a tsunami of response from the American people. And we're grateful that you would entrust with us your greatest resource, which is your young men and women willing to put their life on the line in uniform for the country. We are always going to need that in this nation. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And the face of eternal vigilance are those men and women in camouflage willing to stand a watch on behalf of everyone here, giving up the best years of their life because they believe in something greater than themselves. They know we have rights endowed not by government, but by a creator. You see, our warriors understand we're about to celebrate America 250, which is incredible. But our warriors understand you never get 1776 without 1775, when the first Americans picked up their rifle and said, "This I will defend." Ideas are important. They're critically important if you look at the difference between this administration and the previous. Ideas are what Turning Point's all about. Back to basics, our founding principles. But if you're not able to defend those principles, you give them away, either to foreign enemies or domestic ideologies that have a very different view of our country. And so at the DOD, we're back to basics, to the Constitution. We don't do politics. We do warfighting on behalf of the American people to keep everybody safe. Sound good? We're also rebuilding our military in ways that President Trump did in his first term. Under Obama and Biden, the military was gutted, not just with bad ideologies, but with insufficient funding and capabilities. President Trump's changed that. The One Big Beautiful Bill gave $150 billion in additional spending to DOD. We have the first $1 trillion defense budget. Listen, let me tell you, I'm a fiscal hawk like a lot of people in here, too. I want to make sure taxpayer dollars are used wisely. And that's why I think DOGE and entities like that have been used as efficiently or even more aggressively in DOD than anywhere else. Because every dollar I can find in savings is a dollar I can reinvest in warfighting and readiness and capabilities, in the pointy end of the spear. So we've found tens of billions of dollars in savings that contracts we've eliminated, green initiatives that are gone, that we move over to President Trump's priorities. So when you look at Golden Dome for America, protecting the homeland. You look at the F-47, the world's first sixth-generation fighter jet. Drones, long-range fires, hypersonics, the way of war is changing. Our job is to see around the corner for you. Because, you know, those B-2 pilots, and by the way, the mechanics and the refuelers and the fighters, and pilots don't fly themselves. It's like anything else. No one in the military serves themselves. A huge family and community supports them. But those B-2 pilots were able to fly in an exquisite machine 37 hours around the world because some American that I've never met 40 or 50 years ago designed that fighter, that bomber, was willing to spend political capital and effort and time to fund it and acquire it and field it so that a future president they'll never meet has maximum latitude and decision space to execute on behalf of the American people. My job is to work with our team to look the same way. What does war fighting of the future look like so that you and your kids and your grandkids in future America have the capabilities they need to be decisive and overwhelming on the battlefield? So it's not just about the wars of today and how successful are we today, but are we making the tough calls? See, it's easy to be aggressive and forward-leaning in this position when you have a boss in President Trump who puts a giant shield over you. And that's what it is. He ultimately is willing to take the slings and arrows. He's literally taken the shots so that the rest of us can go into our departments and say, now is the time to do what needs to be done. Make the difficult decisions that, you know, politicians in the past or bureaucrats in the past pushed aside because they were difficult. Now's the time to make those tough calls for you, for my kids, for your kids, your grandkids. So it's restoring the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military, and then reestablishing deterrence. I talked a little bit about deterrence, but we started this administration, unfortunately, in a hole, with 4 years of deferred maintenance on the world stage. What happened in Afghanistan, the disastrous and tragic withdrawal of what happened there reverberated around the world. The world saw wokeness and weakness, not because of our warfighters, but because of political decisions. In ways that, you know, President Trump never would have executed something like that. Conditions-based is something everyone understands. But because of that, you had follow-on actions like the invasion in Ukraine, again, a war that wouldn't have started under President Trump. Or you had what happened in October 7th with Hamas in Israel. The world thought America wasn't prepared to stand strong because of the actions we had taken, and then all the woke garbage that was happening behind the scenes inside the department. The world took notice and said, wait, America's investing in electric tanks. That doesn't make much sense. Where do you plug those in the Middle East? There's climate they just didn't see a serious administration or serious leadership. So deterrence eroded, which means other actors filled the void. President Trump showed up and said, peace through strength is back through American leadership. Not through adventurism or interventionism or nation building. None of that. But through a clear-eyed, realistic view of the world that when we are strong and our objectives are clear and our enemies know where we stand and our allies know that they stand with them, the world is a more peaceful and secure place, which benefits all of us here at home. And by the way, guess where that starts? That starts at home. That starts with our southern border. That starts with ending the invasion of 21 million illegals. That starts with recognizing the military, the Defense Department plays a role in that. My generation spent 2 decades in Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere defending other people's borders. It's about time we defend our own. Which is why you've already seen historic lows in crossings on the southern border. We've got over 10,000 troops stationed there through new national defense areas. If you're arrested on the border in those national defense areas, you are committing a crime. You will be charged and deported. When you meet these troops on the border, they're excited to be executing a mission on behalf of their country, defending the homeland. So deterrence starts in stopping that invasion. And we're supporting ICE agents in Los Angeles and elsewhere, ensuring they're safe in their duty. Of course, the media goes crazy. Oh my goodness, the Defense Department is deploying No. ICE should have the ability to do its job in any city of America without being attacked. And if they're being attacked, their partners at the Defense Department are proud to stand alongside them to secure them, their facilities, or their agents in the execution of lawful law enforcement. It's something we're willing to do, and we are doing on behalf of the mandate of the American people. But it's also the reestablishing deterrence around the globe. And that's why what happened through Operation Midnight Hammer was so important. By the way, a mission from the beginning, President Trump set the tone of what that would look like, the effects that would happen. He understood exactly, and our job was simply to execute and to watch the skilled and courageous men and women of our military from beginning to end, from the situation room to the maps to the trajectories to hearing the radio calls. I wish everybody could hear that and see that. It makes you so proud to be an American. And it reestablishes an understanding from the world of what we're capable of. No other country on earth could even remotely do what those pilots did. Plan, coordinate, facilitate, refuel midair, dozens of times. 7 jets going one way, 2 deceiving the world the other way. Everybody thought it was going that way. You zig, you zang. Fly over Iran, they never see you, they don't shoot, you disable enemy capabilities, and you get out of Dodge. Or as President Trump says, he said, skedaddle. You skedaddle. That is a specific military doctrinal term. Now, that was not just a message to Iran's nuclear capabilities, it was a message to all of our adversaries and all of our allies that American leadership and strength is back. We've also sent the message to the world through what President Trump has done in Europe and through NATO that the era of freeloading off America is also over. I'm a big fan of alliances, and we're a proud member of NATO. But an alliance can't just be about flags and conferences. It needs to be about formations and capabilities. Military alliances only work when you have actual hard power to bring to bear. And only because of President Trump is Europe stepping up and spending now what was inconceivable. Many of these countries were spending 1% on defense just in his first term. But because of President Trump's leadership, they're committed now to spending 5% of GDP on defense, which means they lead the way and we don't have to do it for them. So in closing, I just want to never forget that the motto of our great country, when I got criticism for starting a monthly prayer service at the Department of Defense, voluntary prayer service, I reminded our friends in the media, the motto of our country is, "In God we trust." That the military has a long heritage of being on bended knee, appealing to heaven in the most impossible of situations. God's providence brought us here.